Hi guys, how are you today? I hope it's a good day for you. It's kind of an exhausting day for me. I kind of overdid it yesterday. I was trying to get my vacuum to work. It broke, and I was trying to struggle with that. I ended up sweeping everything instead. Even the vacuum is a lot easier to work with. So I got something done at least. I've been working on my quilt a little bit, and that feels good to get some work actually done. Um, so chronic fatigue syndrome is something that is kind of related to fibromyalgia, but researchers and doctors in the medical community is not sure where it fits in. Is chronic fatigue most the people who study viruses and stuff will be more likely to study chronic fatigue because it seems to be more related to a virus or triggered by a virus, whereas fibromyalgia is more triggered by a traumatic life event. Um, and also viruses. So, the research is really unclear. I watched a movie a while ago called Unrest, and Jennifer Brea was a PhD student, and all of a sudden she was stricken with debilitating fatigue. So much so she'd be walking along, and all of a sudden she would just drop to the ground. She couldn't go any further. Her muscles would not work anymore. And it was, hard for her to get diagnosed, and then she went through and video chatted with a lot of people and recorded her process and then sent that out as a movie. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. She went into a researcher who was researching the cells and how cells are accepting energy, and that she found that on a cellular level, people with chronic fatigue were not accepting, their cells were not using energy efficiently. And I'm so sorry for the shaky camera. I'm just realizing I just can't get it set up right today. I don't know what the lighting issue is today. Probably the fog. Anyway, so I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was 21. I didn't go to doctors about it. Went when I had infections and I needed antibiotics. That's the only time I went to doctors. And when I had my baby, I saw the OBs. Other than that, I haven't really been to doctors much because they don't have the answers that I need. But when I fell about 15 years ago and got a concussion, I did go to doctors for a little while. And the one doctor I was seeing said that I not only had fibromyalgia, but I also had chronic fatigue syndrome and other things that are related. And I've always wondered since then, how closely related are chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia? Are they the same disease, or do they have the same core? It's a mystery in the medical community. One of the things that sets, chronic fatigue is also called Systemic Exertion Intolerance Disease. Meaning that your whole body, you're not able to tolerate exertion. So you got to exercise, and your body that depletes its energy really fast, and then it can't replenish its energy. And another name for fibro or chronic fatigue that they're using is myalgic encephalomyelitis. And myalgia the word means muscle pain. And encephalomyelitis is the inflammation of a brain, usually associated with a virus. So why they're calling chronic fatigue syndrome a muscle problem as well as the inflammation of the brain, I don't understand. And that seems like it would be a treatable disease. The systemic exertion intolerance disease or chronic fatigue, for me, better relate. It sounds more like describing the disease as it is. Anyway, that's their thing and not mine. Anyway, so fibromyalgia overall is more prevalent in the United States. There's 5 million thought to be suffering from fibromyalgia, whereas chronic fatigue, strictly chronic fatigue, is about 1 million. Fibromyalgia is more characterized by tender points. So if you there's 18 points that you push on your body, and they're more likely to be tender, your trigger pain response, than a normal person. Whereas chronic fatigue is more characterized with a sore throat, enlarged lymph nodes, and fevers. I don't get fevers very often, but I do also often have sore throats and tenderness in my lymph nodes, and they're located here in your neck and under your arms. And both are characterized with disrupted REM sleep. That's the deep sleep. But fibromyalgia has more of a tendency to have overall disrupted sleep. And exercise overall is good for fibro. Exercise overall is not so good for chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue, they do advise exercise, but on a limited basis, and less than what your body can tolerate. Because if you push it to the limit, it's going to create more problems in the end than solve. So, it's an old debate. It's been going on for a long time. Nobody, very few researchers are looking into fibromyalgia. Very few researchers are looking into chronic fatigue syndrome. Whether they relate to each other, whether they're one and the same disease, time will tell, I guess. It doesn't change the diagnosis or whatever, doesn't change our lives. Our lives are the same. There's no real treatment for either disease. There's no accepted way to handle it. We just need to listen to our bodies and carry on the best we can. So I hope this discussion made sense, and I hope that you are all having a good day and that you can continue to be well. Thanks for listening today. Toodles.